So it's 5:30, so let's begin the September 25th Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District meeting. And so let's get beginning with the meeting minutes. Were you present for all that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so do I have a motion for?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the September 4th meeting.
All those in favor? Or second, rather.
Yeah.
Aye. All right, so 5:32 manifest.
Same. Make a motion to accept and approve the manifest as presented.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I think there's also a DRA form there for you to sign, that I believe they've already signed, but the auditor had to redo it.
All right. I'll let Steve.
No,
That's it, that's it. It's getting ahead of us a little bit there.
Oh, I see what she's done now. Instead of putting your names, it just says commissioner's signature so that she doesn't mess up the order.
Yeah.
Generic.
Here's yours. That one needs yours. That one's done, right?
I met some constituents that say they watch our meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They wondered where they recognize.
Okay, so that's done too.
There's mine. No, that one does.
That's already done, yes. And so we're good there. So I think all is in order on the manifest. So on to new business.
And you signed the DRA form?
I did, yes.
Okay.
And I
That's
believe,
awesome.
yes.
Okay, great.
And Steve
So
did
the
as
next
well.
one, it's the next paper. Good, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
New business, first item up would be the engagement of bond counsel.
Right, and for the purposes of rural development, we need to get an engagement letter. So we
Yes.
haven't done this before really with bond counsel, get a formal agreement with them that they're gonna do this work for us, we're gonna pay them.
Yes.
And they expect with that amount of money, if we bond all of it, it's gonna be $7,800. Oh, that's not true. I'm not looking at the right number. Usually, bond counsel cost is under $5,000. This number is a different number. So there is no fee. There's no fee in this agreement.
Yes.
Whatever the work is, we'll pay them, they'll bill us.
Right.
But it's been very reasonable.
Right.
They're very good. So this needs a motion and then signatures by you,
Okay.
and then we've got to get a copy back to her.
Right. Well, that's a necessary expense for financing, so.
Yeah, and we actually have to get a letter of engagement with our regular counsel who looks at the contracts for
Mhm.
construction, but they don't need us to sign it and send it back. This is for Divine Millimet.
So we need a motion for this, right?
Yes,
Make a motion
please.
to accept and have the chair sign this letter of engagement.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So part of our ongoing work for financing new projects.
Yes. That's why Bobby runs a slick meeting, so that we have followed all the rules to get a clean opinion.
All right,
Okay.
signed.
The next thing is
And
just an announcement or admonishment, if you will. Last Tuesday morning, the police were called and 3 of our hydrants were the covers were taken off and water was gushing out in 3 locations, one on Winter Street, one on Reservoir Road, and one right down here on Main Street across from Kirk's. And this is rather dangerous vandalism. the water gushing out of the hydrant, there's a water main going by the hydrant, can create an undermining of that water main and cause real significant and real expensive problems. So,
Not to mention potentially shutting the water down for the whole town.
yeah, to fix it.
Yes.
Right, so it ran for several hours in the wee hours of Tuesday morning, but anyway, I just wanted to say I take a dim view of it, and if anybody knows anything or sees anything, say something.
Please call the police.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and then the next item, want me to just keep going?
Please, yes,
Okay.
yeah, this transfer, yeah.
I had sent you a memo about this, but what I'm recommending is that the board vote to withdraw $9,232 from the storage tank inspection and cleaning capital reserve account and $115,000 from the account that's acquisition, exploration, and development for water supply.
Yes,
We did work on the storage tank, and this
Yes.
would reimburse.
yes,
And for the wells, which is the purpose of the acquisition exploration account, we have just appropriated $3.3 million, so we wouldn't need the loan and then this savings account, and that cash would come in to pay for the loan that we're paying for on the wells
yes.
here at Holderness. So that would be my recommendation.
Well, we've been briefed on this,
No
so
discussion, so I make a motion that we withdraw $9,203 from the storage tank inspection and $115,000 from acquisition exploration for water supply.
Thank you.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's a little bit out of order, but if you want to do the purchase recs now, they're on the other side.
Oh, okay.
And I was,
Does that happen?
I was surprised with two more.
Okay.
Oh, there was a failed transducer. This wasn't just them being late getting a purchase order in. They had a emergency electrical problem at the Reservoir Road upper tank, the big tank.
Oh,
And the other one is for polymer, for dewatering. I thought we already had that one in there, but anyway, so there were two more added to the list.
all right, well, I'll go through them briefly. So the purchase recs are, we've got 11 of them. Number one, $611.58 payable to Milton Cat to repair a generator at unspecified well. Number two,
The wells here,
oh, okay, yes.
water wells.
Number two, $2,632.52 payable to Motion Industries for 2 VFDs at the plant. And number three, $960 even payable to Weatherstrong for a new vertical overhead door at the plant. Number four, $3,513.89 payable to CED for conduit and fittings for the VFDs, whatever those
They're
are.
variable frequency drives, wouldn't they be? I thought you would know.
Yeah, sorry, that one's outside of my acronym textbook.
You need to have your
I think-
acronym dictionary with
I
you.
need the addendum.
Let me look it up.
Right. Number five, $9,298 payable to EII for VFD installation.
Right.
Number six, $864 even payable to Central Aggregates for crushed bank run gravel. Number seven, $1,238.46 payable to Team EJP for manhole frames and risers, presumably for Highland Street.
I'll say so.
Number eight, $670 even payable to Carroll Concrete for Highland Street manhole rebuilding. Number nine, $3,458.18 payable to Aramark for uniforms. Number 10, $13,790.40 payable to Xylem Analytics for oxygen probes and controllers. Number 11, Team EJP, $899.42 for replacement parts used in the water main break on Highland Street.
It was just the other day in these.
Just the other day,
So,
which some of you may well be aware of.
Make a motion to,
he's got two more.
Oh, okay, and then two additional.
Yeah.
This one is for Clean Waters, 50 bags of I guess this
Polymer.
is... Polymer, okay, yes. And that would be 5,340 even. And this is for Electrical Installations, Inc., for labor and a pressure transmitter, $1,910 even.
And
That's for the transducer at the upper tank, yes.
VFD is variable frequency drive. And I think I just picked this up here in the
Oh,
last
okay.
year or two.
All
I
right.
wouldn't have known otherwise.
All right. All right, so we
Now a
have,
motion.
So now I make a motion to approve the purchase orders as presented and read.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Presuming no further discussion.
We had a check in here for $1.07.
Who was it to?
I don't remember. I saw it when I went through and it's like, really? Isn't
They
it?
bought something at Rand's?
No, it wasn't Rand's. It was some,
Somewhere where we don't have an account.
I guess, but I mean, it was like, what?
Or do we have an account, but it's one purchase?
Yeah.
$1.07. Yeah, here it is. It is to Kelly McKenzie Auto Parts, Littleton, New Hampshire.
And where?
Littleton. I don't know if that's where the billing office is.
Yeah.
An auto parts store for $1.07.
Well, okay,
A
I'll check.
light bulb.
I mean, it costs them money to send you the bill, and it costs you more than the
No,
$1.07.
believe me,
I know. It's like, those things just drive me
I'll
nuts.
make the, yeah, me too. At least it wasn't Clay's newsstand.
I never would send them out for that amount
Do it next time.
back in the old days.
I suppose you could be, well, let's give it another minute here. Finish up.
Wait,
We'll get to old business here in a minute.
this, the next item, if you want to refresh.
Oh, yes, no, I read that quite recently.
I know.
Perhaps Steve would like to take a look at that, and there's 2 more signatures there.
I read that.
Okay. That's 3.
Oh, that's yours. Who's took it?
Please go with the group, please.
Right. You missed one here, I'll get you that in a minute, yeah.
Napa, local Napa is owned.
Yeah, that's what I figured it was the parent company of Napa.
It was a stoplight bulb
The stoplight bulb?
for stoplight on a vehicle. The bulb that goes in the vehicle for if they step on the brake.
Well, if they had more auto parts to buy that month, it would have been a bigger bill. But, we have petty cash here, but we don't have petty cash, they don't have petty
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
We could have brought down the petty cash to pay him, I guess.
That's probably taking
No,
more
I know,
time
it
and
does
energy
happen, you know
than-
what
yeah.
happens.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I just,
We try to be efficient.
All right, so Steve is number 3. Where was it? There. No, I missed that one. Oh.
There's only 2 of you, so you've got to get
Yeah.
along. You've been going to, that's his name. You've been going to,
Aiden?
yeah,
Oh, wait.
you. Guy.
It hasn't been any yet.
Not yet?
No, the first one is, they do this thing between Colby, Bates, and Bowden. They call it the CBD, and it's just like an intramural thing. But then the next big thing is the Village Cross. And he's trying to get a seat on the boat, and then he got laryngitis.
Oh,
Yeah, so far there's only one 8-boat in that race, so he wants to be on an 8-boat.
All right. Let's get these two on.
thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Well, on old business, the first item is Highland Street.
Yes,
So, would you like to kick this off?
I don't mind.
Yes. The status update is,
Right, let me just go back a little bit.
that's good.
The town highway department rebuilt a portion of Highland Street this late summer, and the district provided water gates risers and manhole rings so that the manholes could be rebuilt as a result of the construction. At the beginning of the project, we were told that the elevations weren't going to change at all. And they did, which changes the elevation of the manhole.
Yes.
Apparently, the town and their contractor were in a finger-pointing dispute, and this is all secondhand to me, I'm just repeating what I know about it, over who was going to pay for $670 in concrete to rebuild these 5 manholes. Now, there were 90 manholes at the beginning, but the contractor paid for the concrete for the first 4, and I don't know why that unraveled, why that didn't continue, but the contract with the town clearly said that all water gates, manholes, catch basins within the project limits will be adjusted to grade. But I think the grade elevation change was a surprise
Everyone.
to everyone. Thank you.
But that is language from their contract.
That's a quote
Right.
from the town's contract with the
So there
contractor.
may or may have been a change order which we don't even know about in the contract.
Well, the contract is not, we're not party, I mean, we...
Right, it's
we
true,
got
we're not
con-
party
I
to
mean,
that
it's-
contract.
We're not named in the contract, it's not
Right.
our contract. But
Right.
however, this dispute resulted in both the contractor and the town pointing at the district and saying they were going to leave the manhole structures covered with those steel plates and just leave them there. So I talked with you,
Right.
and Jason and I did not want that to continue either, that any stormwater or rainwater or debris that goes into a manhole is going straight to the water treatment plant,
Right,
and it gums up the works.
right.
We're not supposed to have stormwater enter the plant, and any debris or grit plays havoc with the machinery down there. So we made a decision to finance the $670, and best of my knowledge, that work is done now by
Okay.
Latulip. I let Latulip know as soon as you and I talked,
Yes.
to please go ahead and fix it. Jason bought the concrete. And it seemed to us that we should write a letter addressing this to the town, and this is the letter, and you've all seen it,
Right.
saying that we really didn't think that this was our financial responsibility, but in the interest of the constituents that we both serve and for the health and safety of the plant, we will pay for it. But there are going to be other costs associated with the project, and when we know what those are, we'll send a bill to the town. But at least we got the work completed for $670. We protected the plant
Right.
and got the...
Well, I mean, we feel like that was in the best interests of
Everybody,
the residents.
yeah, the people that we
and
serve.
our ratepayers, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, it's not exactly one pocketbook, but all of our constituents are also taxpayers.
Yes.
All of them are.
So we don't need a motion on this, it's more of a,
If you sign it,
Yeah, right. So,
Did Judy get a chance to at least see this, or she?
She was weighing in, she was driving,
Okay.
probably her family was driving this afternoon.
Okay.
She didn't comment.
Okay. Well,
She has an opportunity to have seen it if
right, okay.
she took it.
Fair enough. Motion then, Steve?
sure, I'll make a motion that we send this letter to the Plymouth Board of Selectmen as an explanation for why we are going to pay for these concrete.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Should have been above, but sorry, a little bit off.
Not coloring in the lines?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of that going around. A lot of that going around.
All
So,
right.
Mr. Chairman, these next three topics are related somewhat.
Yes.
And I put them on there so we remember to talk about them all, and including the DES loans. The project schedule I wanted to talk about with Septage 3, Force Main, and Main Street. Let me just quickly say what I'm talking about, and then we can wrap it into the larger discussion. I think I was under the understanding that those things were going to be pushed off a year or two. A year, anyway. And I went back, well, I had a phone conversation with our engineers, who are great, and they're assertive, and they're trying to push us forward, and they do great work with RD and DES to get us financing. No complaints there. Except I wasn't sure how aggressive we wanted to be about pursuing this schedule. And so the projects that we've committed to, Septage 1A, Pump 1, across the street, Septage 1A, Foster Street Generator, and Bailey Ave and Langdon Park Road, the timeframes for the construction to begin would be between March and May for those next
Yes.
year. And then completions, depending on the project, June, July, August. And when I spoke with Mike Terrio, and he said he was going to get the contracts up here for design for the board to sign at our next meeting, I was somewhat startled, so I went back to their proposed schedule, and there's quite a bit of overlap. He's thinking on Main Street, phases 1, 2, and 3, which includes all the way up to the Campton line, the Force Main, which is cross-country, and Septage 3. Septage 3 would start in April, and the other two in August, and the Main Street project would go into October of 2020, so that'd be a 14 or 16-month build-out. The Force Main wouldn't be so long, and the Septage 3 would not be, that would be about 3/4 of a year. So, again, I wasn't sure if we were going to, I started to become a little concerned about the level of debt service that we were going to incur
Yes, of course.
overall. And everybody's done a great job planning the projects and applying for grants, and we've done a great job getting the grants, but that still means we have about $10 million that we would be incurring if we go forward and, shoot for the moon and do all of these projects. And, we may need somebody that's better at finance forecast than I am in terms of how this translates into rates. But I think we need to take a very hard look at how much can our district users bear in terms of debt service. Thus far, for the projects that we've borrowed and the grants that we've gotten, the users are really pretty good about just coming in and paying their bills. We don't have a lot in arrears, which is one indicator that we're not charging them too much. Occasionally somebody will ask and we'll say, yes, we had a rate increase and this is why, and they say, okay, and they pay it, and it's not like Plymouth taxes. It's not the same reaction. But I don't want us to get to that point where we're strapping the users to
Well, I think we have an obligation to forecast our rates as best as we can for several years to show the impact of these projects. We had strong support to go forward. And I think most people who are paying attention in town understand that we've had, when they see things like the 2 water main breaks we've had on Highland Street, and that's not even a priority project, but we have a lot of work to do just to catch up with our infrastructure updates. But at the same time, we can't be, we have to be mindful that, there could be some real impacts to rates.
Yeah.
So, I think we need, to make some further, deeper evaluation of the model. I've never had a chance to look at the Excel model for rate setting, which has a number of variables
I
in
just
it.
sent it to you.
Okay,
the other
yes.
day.
Yeah.
Well, just round figures, if we borrow $10 million over 28 or 30 years, that's going to translate into over $600,000 in budget dollars. Some would be water, some would be sewer, and the rates are
Yes.
different. But that's $600,000 into our budgets that will translate into, there's no revenue coming from, except for the septic unit.
Right, well, we've had some minor discussion of prioritizing septic receiving because that will result, we hope, in
Yeah, but
increased
that's
revenue.
relatively small money in the scheme of this.
Right.
But I don't know if the board, if we want to get someone more expert than I at forecasting what this will do for rates, with the amount of money that we would have to borrow. The other piece is all part of this, because RD will close the 2 loans when we get to substantial completion on all the projects within each water or sewer. They had told us a couple of years ago when we were contemplating borrowing money on Foster Street, and then they obligated on Main Street. We didn't do it with them. We haven't gone ahead with that. They said, oh yeah, you can close them out separately, but now they've said in writing, basically it's one big loan. They're going to wrap one big loan together. We can do individual interim financing, so we could space when we start the interim financing.
Right, so the bottom line is we can't go to the long-term permanent financing with RD until we've done a bunch of, the majority of these.
Substantial completion on the whole shooting match.
Right.
The other piece, I think I may have told some of you individually, but not out loud at a meeting. We were able to secure 1% interim financing on Pump 1, which is a $1.5 million project, and we're grateful and glad we can do that. At 1% financing,
It's almost free money.
it's almost free money. I mean, the timing of it isn't, it doesn't stick in your throat as much if you start a month or 2 later. But we had hoped and we had thought, and DES kind of led us down the road thinking that we were going to be able to get the 1% financing on all the projects from DES. And they had so much
Demand.
response and demand that they said, no, Pump 1's good, that's it. You need to go to private financing. And the last time we got numbers from one of the local banks, it was 3.45%, which is 2.45 from 1%. So we need to, all of these there's not just 1 or 2 little factors in this, in getting these projects underway.
We're looking at, that's $10,000 per percent per $1 million, so it's
right.
it's non-trivial.
Right. Let me throw this piece out too. The engineer is suggesting that we had earmarked $800,000 for Septage 3, and the state was now going to give us $330,000 for that. What the engineer is proposing, and he walked it by Environmental Services, to take the $800,000 and use it to fund the design for the next 3 projects, Septage 3, Force Main, and the Main Street project, so that the design would be secured. Now.
That serves the engineer well, but that doesn't necessarily serve us ideally.
Right, well, that's where I was when I talked with you last time, and then as I started thinking about these projects, we can't get into the RD long-term loan until we finish.
Right.
So staggering them or delaying the second 3, I don't know if it does make sense.
Well, I mean, what's the nature of interim financing? Is it variable rate? Are we locking into a rate?
Oh, yeah, good question. One of the things, I mean, I think I mailed this to you this afternoon. The engineer sent me a very,
We're suggesting we go to private market.
well, yeah, no, we would anyway. But what he's suggesting is, or he's asking the question, in the private banking markets, can we get a construction type loan where you only pay
Yes,
based
it's
on
all-
what we've drawn?
Yes.
I'm just saying it out loud. And
Yes.
he also, this is a very content-oriented email. So that's what Mike Terrier would like to do, is to have the board approve the 3 contracts, and he's gonna send them to me for design, and then use the $800,000 to fund that.
Well, it seems to me like we got a chicken and egg issue here. I mean, we
Right.
got to decide what we
Right.
really need. I mean, we need some further data here to understand how boldly we want to step forward
Right,
on our projects.
right,
I mean, it's not,
right. If
you
in the
know,
next.
we really want to move, but you know,
If in the, yeah, if
we
in the
need
next
to
2
move with
years, we
confidence.
borrow 10 million hard dollars,
Yes.
not the grant dollars, hard dollars, you know, we need to answer the question, what's that gonna translate into in rates, and what do we think our constituents can bear?
Right. So I mean, we're realistically looking at like a 3 to 4 year projection. We have to.
Minimum.
Right. Well, I mean, where my calendar year, what are we talking about for substantial completion here and going into the permanent financing?
If all these projects went along in a really slick way, we would be finished by 2020. But the other thing, and I really hate to say these words out loud, but we still do not know with Main Street, Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, what is going to end up happening with Northern Pass in the end. They're going to the Supreme Court. That's not a completely dead issue. It's
Yes.
knocked over, but it's still alive. I mean, so can we, if we find out, if they have a decision that says go ahead, you can do Northern Pass, then we're right back in that place of waiting to see when they're going to start, if they're going to start, how do we best coordinate our infrastructure with theirs, and can we even capitalize on it?
Right. Because there may be some savings there potentially,
You know,
with road resurfacing.
If they're coming,
Right.
so I mean, there's so many complicating factors and uncertainty. If everything went according to, you know, our own plans, Main Street could be finished by October of '20, so 2 years from now. And then that's when we'd get into substantial completion with RD, and we'd start paying hefty debt service probably in the next year.
Right.
In the meantime, we'd be paying interim finance on multiple projects.
Well, I mean, there's still other issues involved. I mean, putting a large number of projects like this in motion puts a lot of stress on
Staff.
on staff, right?
Absolutely, right.
Because there's a lot of oversight that needs to be done
Right.
from staff. And I mean, I can understand 2 projects or maybe even 3, but I mean,
Well,
that's
we've said we're going ahead with pump 1, septic 1A, the generator over here. I don't mean to be minimal, that's only $150,000.
Only 100.
I know, I
I
don't
mean,
mean.
that's
I don't mean-
a focused project.
And,
It's
yeah.
not quite like trenching and
Yeah. Right.
and replacing.
Yeah, Bailey Ave is small, Bailey Ave and Langdon Park Road, it's small, but we're going across people's backyards. And so
Right.
we have the easements, but still,
Yeah.
You
There's
know-
a lot of issues with that kind of work
yeah.
that always come up.
So I don't know, I've tried to gather, you know, what I think are the considerations. I don't have the path forward. I don't know if you want to have a work session, and in the meantime, I don't even know who the expert would be. It's a math problem, Bobby.
It is a math problem, but I was thinking maybe somebody in the business department at the college that would have.
Like some modeling.
Yeah.
We've got a Excel
Software.
spreadsheet that toggles through, you make changes, what the rates do.
That's probably rudimentary compared to what you're looking for.
It's very rudimentary,
Right,
because I can
yeah.
manipulate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just thinking of names, I'm not pulling any at this point.
I'll try to find somebody. We had the best intern from the business department, so I'm friendly with whoever his advisor was. I
That's where I would go first then.
can't think of her name now. Yvonne, somebody. All right. You need Dick Church and,
Yeah, those guys are long gone, the guys I always used to work with.
I know, Paul
You know,
Buck.
Ed Wexon.
Wixon.
Wexon, he's still around. He might be ideal person.
So is Paul Buck.
Paul's still
Paul
around?
Buck? Yeah.
I thought he was
Well-
in South Carolina. Well, he's up here now.
Well, I meant around, like,
Okay,
on
yeah.
this earth,
Yes, this is true.
unlike Mr. Church.
Yes, that's true.
All right, let me see.
I mean, prior to working with somebody, I mean, we need to come up with just a simple spreadsheet showing of hypothetical, what additional debt service, from year to year or for the next 3 or 4 years.
I think that's what you're talking, is trying to
That's
have
what-
somebody with that expertise help make that forecast.
Right.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, I know. What we didn't. When we met last time, it seems like we had quite a shopping list of other variables involved in what could impact rates. So I realize, there's a lot to consider.
right, I mean, even if we keep operations fairly
Lean,
lean,
yes.
we're gonna go from a labor oriented budget to a debt service oriented budget
Right.
really fast if we borrow $10 million. So let me try to find somebody.
Yeah, I just think back at when we built the high school.
Yep.
And Ed Wixon, what he figured out so that we could pay off the elementary school in 5 years and save the town over $1 million. That always
In
sticks in my
long-term?
mind.
Yeah,
That would be the first person I would ask.
right. Okay. I'll look him up. He's a ratepayer.
He's a ratepayer, and he loves the
Because
challenge.
it seems like the board, I mean, it feels like RD said to us, bundle these projects, and we bundled the projects, and things went along quite well. We've got a lot of grant money, but I think I used the example with Steve, if somebody gave you $500,000 and said you need to buy $1 million house, is that what you would do?
Yeah.
So, I just, before we, I feel like we've sort of, not only led by the hand in an innocent way, but just, we've kind of walked down this path of this is what we're doing, and the engineers certainly want us to, and I think Jason, it's his work to get these projects done, but I think at some point we need to have the due diligence conversation about rates, and I'm just
Yes.
concerned. So, let me see what I can do, and then maybe we should have a little work session to,
Yeah, I think that could be appropriate.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll have Ed come in.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess there's no decision that needs to get made tonight about that. We've already committed to the design on the first 4 projects. Pump 1 is underway in terms of construction, and the other 3, we haven't said we're gonna go into design yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Any other?
Yeah, I guess the only other thing I'm thinking about is, what's our design time frame? I mean, we're already designed, and I mean we've paved a path here for next year's work,
Yeah,
summer of projects. But if we chose to move into other projects,
all right.
do we have?
Yeah, I think I have.
I'm presuming we have several months of leisure here to make a decision on design, or maybe we don't. Maybe,
For the other projects?
yes,
I think we do.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we do. Let me just make sure. I think I sent this to you today. I read it, and there's so much in here.
Yes, there's a lot.
As the design phases for each of these projects are completed in spring, summer of 19, the district needs to find private lending interim financing for construction and construction phase engineering for all the projects in the matrix. There's also a chance that if some municipalities who didn't get this money appropriated, but they've applied for the grants, now they have to go back to their voters to see if they can, we have our appropriation from our town, from our district. If they say we're gonna pass, we didn't get the votes, then that money goes back into the pot at DES and we can apply again. But that's a complete uncertainty.
Right. Well, there's still one other thing is, we're setting rates for, our next round of setting rates is not that far off.
Right.
So, it seems to me that it's all the more reason that we need to fairly quickly
We don't
get our
have
mind
this-
around
Yeah,
some
we don't
planning.
have this debt service in the next budget.
Right.
We'll have some of it with the interim financing. We got a plan for debt service there, but these big ones won't be part of the rate setting for next year.
Right.
But you're right.
But that's what's going to happen going forward is going to have some impact on how our thinking about how we set rates for this.
Anticipate.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't have spikes.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Soften the curve of change. All right.
And if we have a work session, I'm sure if the board wanted to, Mike Terrier would come up to talk
Right.
about this stuff in detail, but let me see.
And presumably that will be a public work session.
Yeah, sure, yes. Yeah. All right.
All right, so Septage 3, do we?
No, just those.
Oh, yeah, I guess we've really covered
That- that's
yeah.
that whole-
Yeah.
That's the whole block.
That's the
Yeah.
whole block.
Yes. So does that?
More questions than answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Anything further? Public comment? Then I guess make a motion, we go into non-public session pursuant to 91A:3, Section 2I.
So,
Which
All
is
in favor?
receiving advice from legal counsel.
Yes, all's in favor, aye.